Today it's time for another review that you have requested. It's the BMW X3 plug-in hybrid, the 30e. So we're going to take a detailed look, exterior, interior and the driving experience, and we will also give you the comparison because we have tested this car here with so many different engines, both petrol and diesel, 4-cylinder, 6-cylinder, and also recently in the all-electric iX3. How does this one compare? Is it a good compromise? We're going to find out. Full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go! In the front here, the BMW X3 has a wide double kidney, also with adaptive fins on the inside that only open on demand for more air cooling. Then a very interesting color for today called Solar Stone or Sonnenstein in Germany, but I have not found it on the US configurator yet. But I mean, it's all leaving the works in Spartanburg, so just ask for it. Who would be you as customer? Just say Thomas has told you. Then in lower part, this is the Model M Sport, so we also have sportier lower spoilers right there with bigger air intakes, really interesting styling, a very likable, a little bit conservative styling, but definitely then also timeless. Cool daytime running lights right here, and LED would be standard for the middle or higher trims, and then optionally you can get the adaptive LED function we can also see here with the BMW Adaptive LED. The length is at 4.71 meters, 185 inches or 15'4", and today we have 19-inch wheels on winter tires. Also with the Model M Sport you can see here painted wheel arches. The M Sport model gives the visual pack in the sportiest possible way, but not connected then to the drivetrain. Of course the true M Performance models would add then the drivetrain like the M40i, or then the true M models like the X3M or X4M, the brother model, than the true M models with the most horsepower. But M Sport is the design package then for this one. And there we can also see black accentuations around the windows, also tinted back windows right here. Interesting design dropping line at the height of the door handles. So overall, once again, a likable styling. Suspension, there's a base one available, or then the adaptive suspension, which I would actually go for with the X3, which adds so much more, both comfort and sportiness. The all-wheel drive, by the way, it's a permanent all-wheel drive, rear wheel biased, and it's not influenced then by this additional electric motor. It will just stay the same as it is before from the setup. And in the rear we can see the modern tail lamp design, X3 badge right there, real exhaust tips, so no job for the Autogefühl fake exhaust police here today. Once again the Model M Sport here with this contrasting black, well, kind of diffuser style in the lower part, just a little bit more contrast, and just a classic hatch style for the rear. You know that for the BMW X3 you get 2-liter 4-cylinders and 3-liter 6-cylinders, both petrol and diesel. And here the plug-in hybrid drivetrain for the 30e is a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo petrol engine, 292 horsepower total system output, 6.1 seconds is the acceleration figure to 1 kilometers or 62 miles an hour, and the pure electric speed is around 35 kilometers an hour or around a little bit more than 80 miles an hour. Above that, also with the combustion engine drive then combined, but of course you will try to drive it as electric as possible if you can recharge frequently. And charging of this 12 kWh battery is right here, driver's side, and projected pure electric range about 40 kilometers or 25 miles. The car key looks like this, slim and light, and here, since it's the M Sport model, also with the M colors at the side. Then the door closing sound. Yeah, it's okay, nothing special, but also not bad. And then brushed aluminum inserts at the inside of the door. Yeah, this brown animal skin interior doesn't fit at all to this vehicle. Not sure about this configuration. But the good thing is, also for the X3 PHEV and also for the other models, black or beige sensor tag is available. So the animal-free leather alternative, which is high in quality. And probably I would go for the beige sensor tags than here. That would be a great mix, definitely. Or if you just want the classic, go for the black sensor tag. And in the German or European markets, you can also just get a black fabric here, which is also best for breathable functions in summertime. And that model M Sport here with the M steering wheel, M badge right there, and also with the M entry badges next to aluminum pedals and this M floor mat. And getting inside here, the X3 has this upright seating position. You already feel like in a normal grown-up SUV. Steering wheel, very smooth function that shows the build quality of this vehicle has been improved bit by bit. Also happy with that. And when I put the seat in the lowest position with 1m86 or 6'1", here it still leaves a lot of headroom. You can also get a panoramic roof for this vehicle, of course. Electric seat control is an option, of course really helpful, especially when you set it to the memory functions that you can use it with different drivers. Interior overview, a clean and simple layout, nice brushed aluminum style here, soft touch dashboard. There's the sensor tag dashboard, also with stitching right there. Start stop button is here. Option, you can also get the latest BMW Live Cockpit Professional. Left side 12.3-inch instruments, right side this 10.25-inch screen with the latest software. Now also with the BMW X3. Nice is also that we have here still a manual volume knob and also manual climate unit. This is really helpful, and I think this is a good mix. You have latest infotainment system, but you also have straightforward controls like the manual climate knob. That's, I think, how it's supposed to be. Then the steering wheel, or at the steering wheel, there's a heated steering wheel function available. And that left side controls for the cruise control, right side for volume or picking up the phone and so on, or for the voice input. But at any time you can also just say in "Hello BMW. Hello BMW, drive me to Berlin." Or, changing the language or something is also possible.
I found several destinations.
Here, for example, and for the GPS input is one of the most useful systems. Again, more details to this and left side.
Our next destination is Berlin.
Was that by gesture control? Interesting. Didn't touch the screen. Very interesting. Lower part is also, I think, a beautiful solution because here, X3 logo, cool. Then you can slide this open, have inductive charging pad for your phone. Useful in this case because Apple CarPlay works wirelessly, and latest also Android Auto support then here for this new OS 7 operating system by BMW. USB-A charger. Then adaptive cup holders. You have a shifting lever right here, and next to that driving modes, talking about these, and also the e-driving modes while driving, and then this right controller turning and pressing, and you can also write on that, for example, to put in an address. And then this armrest, put it up, and then you have more space and a USB-C charger underneath. The digital instruments are very clear to read. They also adapt to the driving modes. This is, for example, in the sports mode, and also the combustion engine goes on, and you see here, because the RPMs go counterclockwise, you have in the middle part then, for example, space for some more information, because also GPS information will appear in the middle part, whereas the right part you can also change a little bit more. And I always like these BMW wing lights. Beautiful design element here on the interior. Sometimes I just turn it on and look at it. Head-up display is a good addition. Nice option, speed, also loud speed, and GPS info when you have a route set. Now the infotainment system detail, here the map. This is powerful enough, you see, very responsive. They really put a CPU in there that is powerful enough, unlike in the recent Volkswagen vehicles, for example. Here you can also check out some, here the independent heating or charging mode settings. You can set departure time, but most of the time probably you won't use that. Driving information here. You can also check out the energy flow while driving, when the combustion engine is on or not. Then the Apple CarPlay is linked here in the top part right there, or lately also then the Android Auto. And here we have the optional Harman Kardon sound system with the surround sound, and it's a very nice sound, very crystal clear. Really nice. Oh, and Solar Stone does fit to the exterior vehicle color. I said it was called Solar Stone, the vehicle color. Was that a coincidence? And the rear view camera is really nice. It's a great resolution right there. And in highest trim also this fake drone view from above. So very clear to see, and also these helping lines adapt accordingly. And getting in the rear, here you have still enough legroom also for tall passengers in the rear, no problem. However, if you think about the BMW X1, you would have the same amount of legroom because the X1 has a shorter hood, only 4-cylinder engines. This is a 4-cylinder PHEV engine here today, but here you could also get the 6-cylinder. That's why the hood is longer. Decent seating position here in the rear. You also don't have a compromise because of the plug-in hybrid drive. Still enough headroom, no problem at all. Then you have ISOFIX at the outside parts. You can already change the seating area here, so you can put it more backwards or a little bit more forward depending on the angle you want to be seating with this lower lever, and the upper one is then to fold it completely. Then also ski hatch available just to hold the middle part, and then you can also pull down here the cup holders like this. Also adaptive function. Is it possible to, there we go, is it possible to go with the middle seating? Yeah, that would work. So you can also use it with 5 toe Ls, and in the lower part we can see here not only a separate climate unit but also USB-C chargers. As for the trunk area here for the 30e, you lose a little bit of height right here because of the battery. There's a cover right there. Then you can see here also this cabin trolley would fit in a vertical way. This is a bag for a charging cable because you need this one kinda, because here underneath there would be the second charging cable, then here for the household plug, this for the European or German one. So, however, if you take a look at the US version, we had it also in a review recently, you also have this step if you want to have a replacement tire in there. So I think it's a good compromise still. Length here is, to this step here about 80 centimeters, and to the very end, a little bit longer, so like 90 centimeters plus. And here this is over a meter, so good in width, and you can also fold the seats from here. That's actually a very good function. And then the total length right here would be 1.70 meter to this step right here, and also the other side you have it all the way down. So still a very flexible vehicle. And if you wonder, there is indeed a small gap then between this step right here and the end of the trunk, so there's still like this kind of space left. Not the most ideal solution, but you can live with it. And child safety test, very well done. Welcome to Thomas's Driving Lounge with the BMW X3 plug-in hybrid. And this is a very interesting drive, I can tell you already right now, because recently we've been driving the all-new iX3, the all-electric X3, and so we can also compare it here. And of course I also have the experience then with all the other combustion engine models here of this car. And good thing about the X3 in general is always upright seating position, a grown-up SUV feeling, more SUV feeling than you would have in the smaller X1. But then again, you're not as big as the X5, so you can maneuver a little bit better around city traffic and so on. 19-inch wheels mounted here today, together with winter tires. The standard suspension also for this car, which is in comparison to the adaptive suspension rather firm, so I would always advise to go with the adaptive suspension. This one here, the Model M Sport. So overall I think the suspension quite sporty on this tone here. For me a little bit too sporty. It's not bad at all, of course, but I think the adaptive suspension with the normal comfortable setup then would be the best choice for this very vehicle. All electric drive, about 40 kilometers, 25 miles, something like this. And I'm also driving all electric at the moment. I've set it to the automatic hybrid drive, so the car decides for itself in which driving mode we are, and when we are rather rolling, not accelerating hard, it's also remaining in this electric drive here, especially in the city. And if you have a route set, for example, where the driving goes on a longer motorway journey or something, then also the combustion engine would, for example, be preferred. As for recuperation, when I'm just leaving the throttle, there's not such a harsh recuperation, but I can see it's going in this charge meter here, so there is some notable recuperation. And if you want more recuperation, then you would hit the brake, and the brake pedal then just applies the normal brakes if you want even more braking power. So you can also switch the driving mode here with an eDrive mode, and you could go to the max eDrive. This is always keeping it in the electric drive then, unless you really floor it out for safety reasons that you can still accelerate. Then the second one is this charging battery mode, so the car can charge the battery from the combustion engine. So this is possible for emission zones, for example, when you want to use the eDrive later. Most cases, of course, not that useful, and it's also not in a very efficient drive. We have a very soft steering feel, but doesn't have a dead zone area, so something is always happening. When you go, for example, to the sports mode, and the RPMs all turn red, the engine also jumps on, and then you have a little bit more feedback in the steering wheel. You can also see it in the visualization that the combustion engine is on then. 6.1 seconds is the acceleration figure, 0 to 1 kilometers or 62 miles an hour. But usually here normal in the city you would leave it in the comfort mode, and that's it then. Let's talk about the all-electric range, and what about the consumption figure when just the combustion engine is running. This is then comparable to the normal 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, around 8 liters and 1 kilometers, 29 mpg US, 35 mpg UK. So when the battery is depleted, consumption more or less the same with normal combustion engine. Yes, you can use some recuperation advantages, then again you also have some additional weight and so on, but it doesn't play such a big effect. Of course, you can also score some very low liter consumption figures or higher mpg figures if you use this combined drivetrain engine, so some electric and some combustion engine. This makes sense, especially on longer journeys, that you can, for example, on the motorway use the combustion engine at constant speed, and then in the city the electric drive. This indeed also makes sense in an economic and ecological way. Or then if you can recharge frequently, that's of course also a good use case. So drive all electric in the city, recharge again at home, at work, however, or wherever the possibility is. And then maybe for the weekend where you plan a longer trip or holiday trip or something, then use the combustion engine. Then of course the plug-in hybrid makes sense. Also when you have the governmental benefits. Really silent drive here as well. We're heading out to the motorway, and so far noise insulation very good. And I can just stress again, the all-electric driving of the X3 is so much fun, it's really great. However, I have to say, comparing to the all-electric X3, this one here, I mean, you do feel the difference. In the iX3, the all-electric one, where you have the big, heavy battery pack in the bottom of the vehicle, that went so well along with the vehicle, so it brought the center of gravity that low that it felt like a completely different vehicle. It felt so much sportier, although it had so much more weight. That was red, no problem. So the all-electric one does drive better than this one, no doubt about that. And of course has more electric power. Here at the moment, I'm putting it to the max eDrive mode, acceleration from 40 kilometers to, let's see, all electric, and I'll try to keep it in the electric range. And that's 80. So you can still accelerate substantially with the electric drives, no problem. And in the city you get along anyway, that's also no problem at all. But if you want the harshest acceleration, then you need both drivetrains. And this was also, I was really keeping the throttle to a point where I could see the maximum power output of this eDrivetrain. That's it. And as soon as I pin it down a little bit more, then I can show that to you like this. Blop. Here, and then you hear the combustion engine hops on. So I feel there's a threshold in the throttle pedal, and I need to push it all the way down, and then the combustion engine is activated. But I think it's very well done, because you can very well feel that in your foot where that threshold is. And so if you like, you don't have a problem staying in the all-electric mode. I think it's well done. In some plug-in hybrid vehicles, you don't have this really notable threshold in the throttle pedal, and then you always have to look at the instruments and so on, and That's definitely very annoying. You can't expect that from the customer, definitely. So the electric drivetrain also fits to the overall silent or good noise insulation here. And let's take a look at the assistance systems. So we have a cruise control here. Then we can also activate the lane keeping assist like this. So we'll put it to 80 kilometers an hour. So it feels good and resonates very well with the quality right there. So now green steering wheel, and here, yep. Wouldn't say car caught fire, rather like, caught the lanes. So here, now it's yellow steering wheel. Doesn't like these construction lanes here too much, probably too narrow. But before at the very beginning part, it was working quite well. Lines of motor, maybe you've already seen it here and there with these triangles in the side mirrors. Overall, this vehicle here, it's a segment where you could say this car fulfills a lot of different purposes and does a lot of things very properly, very right. Nice that we have the infotainment system upgrade here. For example, if I wanted to change the system language from German to English, I was just saying, please change the language to English, and then I was changing the language. I was saying that in German, by the way. So, and now here at higher speeds as well, good lane, well, yeah, very nice characteristic behavior from the car, really cool. And what about, both drivetrains together here in sports mode again, then of course when you hear this 4-cylinder sound, doesn't feel too sophisticated, but you definitely have more than enough power. Going back to the comfort mode, sending a cruise control here once again. Now the lane keeping assist, active one, keeping me in the lane. I'm not steering at all at the moment. You can see here the car is handling that, and also in a very smooth way. So that's actually, at the moment I prefer the BMW systems because they are very unobtrusive. They don't annoy you, and when you then start steering yourself again, you don't feel like you would act totally against the vehicle. And that's actually what I appreciate here about this very system right there. And what else is missing? Yes, a high-speed test to see when we combine both of these drivetrains. So when we are normal auto e-drive mode, again, as I said, most of the time when the battery is full, the car tries to drive all electric and the combustion engine is being shut off. The same is also happening here, hitting the brakes at the charging. More would be possible, so you're using the brakes less and less, the real brakes. Steering wheel is getting light once again in comparison. Now we're going back to the sports mode. And the bad thing here about these instruments is when we keep this beautiful shot here, the steering wheel is directly blocking the speed. Therefore, I will just tell you the speed right now. That's an easy way than unmounting the camera and so on. So we start at about 50 kilometers an hour. We can go a little bit slower. Like, let's say we start at 40 kilometers an hour, and then we'll accelerate it out. Safety first, let these cars pass. You shall pass. And then let's go. We stop here when it was 170 kilometers an hour. So in the sports mode, we also have, due to this sound actuator, a nice sound on the interior and good acceleration here. Again, you can compare it to the almost as strong pure 2-liter 4-cylinder petrol engine here for the BMW X3. And good noise insulation once again at 150 kilometers an hour. Lane change here at higher speeds, a little bit more resistance in the steering wheel. Yeah, very nicely done, keeping calm and collected. So it's definitely one of my favorite mid-size SUVs. But I really have to say, it's not because this one is bad at all. I mean, it's a very, very good SUV. Just because the all-electric version, the iX3, was so absolutely awesome to drive that after you've driven that one, all the other normal X3 versions look like, okay, but just in comparison. Great SUV, no matter which engine you pick. But I can really say that the all-electric version is so much better. It feels so much more agile, so much more spontaneous. It feels lighter, although it's 400 kilograms heavier. That's the interesting thing here about the iX3. But that's also the very interesting part, because I want to test the plug-in hybrid version here, and for a lot of customers at this moment, this one here is a more affordable version. It already makes sense tax-wise and so on. And you know, this one is also built in Spartanburg in the US. The iX3 is built in China. BMW says same quality standards, but some rather want to support the US factory than the Chinese one, for example. A lot of things can play a role right there. Now in the tunnel, setting cruise control again, we can see some of the ambient lighting as well. Of course, I set it to blue all the way, also alongside the doors and so on. So beautiful ambient lighting. Also fits into the blue gauges we have then here in the instruments right at the moment. Overall, once again, I have to say, really among my favorite midsize SUVs. Here the plug-in hybrid version, I would buy it if I don't have the proper charging infrastructure yet. So if I can charge maybe like sometimes, or if you have again the use case commute all electric during the week, for example, and then you know, longer journeys on the weekend or so. If you have the best charging infrastructure already, then you can go for the all-electric version. Or maybe you say, you know, you also need that here, like for business, for your job, for driving kilometers, miles, boats. And then maybe again have some electric commuting in the city, or you know, going for the groceries and so on. So when I have this car for a longer period of time here, then I also try to recharge frequently. I have some charging stations available. Charging in my basement garage is not possible yet, thanks to my neighbors. Thank you. Yeah, big topic here in Germany, where you have to have the consent of so far everyone. Now law is being changed. Now beginning December 1st, 2020, you only need the normal, simple majority for changes for charging infrastructure. That's a step forward, but it doesn't help you that much when too many people still think that electric mobility is, you know, devil's work. And I mean, there are really people saying that. So, and we all know it has advantages and disadvantages, and truth is always in between, somewhere in the middle. But definitely here the plug-in hybrid version is a very cool addition to the engine lineup, and it is getting more and more popular, and BMW is facing, stressing these plug-in hybrids more and more. Recently now also not only the iX3, but also the iX without the 3, which is something like an iX5, because it's a like big grown-up SUV, all electric. This is where really cool, like the daytime running lights, where you can see them in the front of the other car. Beautiful, right? You know, like the daytime running lights here, and then you can check yourself out. And once more we go here to the tunnel, because at the end of this driving part I want to show you another acceleration when we are already at speed. I'm really happy with this drivetrain. I would drive it electric, all electric, as often as possible. That's what I'm really trying to do. Of course, this rather than makes sense when you can charge at home, because public charging stations for just like 40 kilometers, 25 miles, then you always like park it somewhere, go somewhere, revisit the car at some point. This can be annoying at times, definitely. So better, of course, when you can just put it in your basement garage in front of your house, and so on and so on. So once again, I'll switch to the sports mode. You can also see the changing gauges, and I will start it now at 100 kilometers or 60 miles an hour, and then accelerate out to like at least 150 or something. Let's see how that Alpha wagon in the front of it goes away already. Let's go. And that's 200 kilometers an hour or 125 miles an hour, and once again, good noise insulation. It's an SUV, but it's remaining really calm, collected, stable on that road, also at higher speeds. And when I'm also doing a lane change here at high speeds, no problem for this vehicle. Suspension is not shaking up. Of course, if I would have the adaptive suspension in the sports mode, it would get a little bit stiffer. But here, wow, once again, great engineering work. But the most fun thing, I can just stress again, is driving it all electric, as long as you still have electric range left. And now to our conclusion for today with the BMW X3 30e, the plug-in hybrid version. Exterior-wise, I think a very classic design, beautiful SUV, and this solar stone color here. I mean, it's a very unique one, and I really like it. It gives so much brightness, especially here in this darker winter times right now. Then also with this bigger double kidney in this new generation. Other than that, you don't see that's a plug-in hybrid from the exterior. Why would you? Interior, nice styling. It's a good compromise between infotainment, modern stuff, but still easy to handle, control knobs and so on. So I think a very good interior setup, and you also have enough space and also good animal-free sensor tech materials available, as well as fabric seats in the European or German market. Driving-wise, a very balanced handling. Also here for the plug-in hybrid drivetrain, the best would be to get the adaptive suspension for BMW X3. That's the most fun and also best balance between sportiness and comfort. The BMW iX3, the all-electric version, drives even better because this lower center of gravity and this more electric power brought so much fun. To me, now the best version of the X3. However, this one here, a compromise in between. Other than that, I mean, the 3-liter 6-cylinder is such a great engine, the best combustion engine at BMW, that this one is also quite tempting, but also quite expensive. So at this moment, I think I would either go good charging infrastructure, go with the iX3, no charging infrastructure, take the 3-liter 6-cylinder, if money doesn't play a role. However, if you have some governmental benefits and so on and tax advantages, then the plug-in hybrid can make sense. Or if you have, you know, this driving profile that sometimes you want to go for a longer journey and use the combustion engine, and during the week, for example, you just use the electric drivetrain and commute all electric during the week, then also the plug-in hybrid would make sense. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you liked our insight. Tune in next time.